Poisonrana.
Hello. Davie Portman here from Poisonrana. Welcome, youtube.com/@Poisonrana. If you're listening to this on the podcast feed, wherever you found us, thank you very much. I am riding solo today. This is actually my second time doing this already because I apparently didn't hit that go live button. So here I am again. Happy Father's Day, everyone. Braden is celebrating Father's Day with his dad today. So I wish all you dads, you granddads, you mums who work as dads as well, I wish you the best of days. Have a lovely one. It's beautiful here in Toronto today. And as my washing machine goes loud, I'm going to have to pause that. What a start we're having today. Thank you very much for your patience, guys. Hello, I'm Davie Portman. Braden's with his dad today, so I'm riding solo, but there's a lot we can talk about. First up, we had the debut of Collision last night, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And also, I had an exclusive interview just earlier in the week with the Bollywood Boyz, so I'm going to put that up on this feed. We're talking all about their upcoming match in Toronto at the Rec Room, June 25th. Defy versus Progress as they take on Matt Cross and Juventud Guerrera. So listen all about that. And their kind of background in wrestling. It was a pretty cool chat with Harv and Gerv earlier in the week. So looking forward to sharing that with you. We had a lot of wrestling going on this week. And hello chat room. I see all of you. Yeah. Riding solo, the washing machine. The washing machine keeping me company today. Our loud, clanky washing machine. Lots going on this week. We had, Jey Uso finally make his decision, aligning with his brother, turning on Roman and Solo in a pretty cool angle on SmackDown this week. I think Braden and I will get more into kind of WWE and the build to Money in the Bank and SummerSlam once Forbidden Door's over, and give our thoughts on the whole Bloodline angle, because I know we're on very different pages there. AEW, that's kind of the hot thing right now. We've got Forbidden Door just a week away at the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. The card is looking pretty great, I think. I kind of like what they've done this year. Just announcing those two huge matches right away. Danielson versus Okada. It kind of just writes itself. You don't really need much of a story there. It's two of the best ever going at it. Osprey Omega, I really like what they did this week. Kind of Osprey with the sneak attack at the end of the show. I thought was a really hot, fun end to Dynamite this week. It kind of reminded me of that build to WWF versus the Alliance at Survivor Series 2001. Just that last SmackDown where everyone's running out, hitting their shit. I thought that was a really fun end. Surprise return of Eddie Kingston. Is he with the Elite? I don't think so. I'm still kind of holding out hope for that Kota Ibushi debut, but Eddie seeming to be still continuing his feud with Claudio and back in AEW. I thought a great Dynamite this week. As I said, I like what they're doing with the build, just kind of these open challenges, keeping it simple, Sonata just putting the challenge out there. I know a lot of people scoffed at at Jungle Boy going for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, but realistically, with all due respect, it's against Sonata. So who cares? I would rather Sonata face a Jungle Boy than maybe, burn a kind of waste a Danielson or a Omega or whoever on that match, with all due respect to Sonata. So I actually think Jungle Boy's a good pick, and trying to kind of, ride that momentum from the four-way they had, the four pillars of making sure you realize he's still a top guy. And then MJF Tanahashi, will it or won't it happen? I loved MJF's little promo talking about, that little indie fed in Japan with this geek Tanahashi. So I'm kind of all for the matches they've announced. I assume we're getting confirmation on Wednesday. Orange Cassidy taking on Zack Sabre Jr. which I think Orange had like one of the standout matches at last year's Forbidden Door. I see him and Zach doing the same thing here. I'm really looking forward to that one. And now, you know, I think you've got some hot singles matches on this show. I wouldn't be mad if the rest is filled up with, you know, six mans and that kind of thing. I think last year relied too heavily on that. But I think now we've got our big dream matches, you know? So I am all for the rest of the show just being some fun, nutty six-man tags that we had last year. So yeah, I am super pumped for Forbidden Door. Those two matches they've announced are enough already. The Danielson Okada and Omega Ospreay. Yeah, so pretty good Dynamite this week. And then we had last night the debut of AEW Collision. Bit of a new look, kind of the red and the yellow, kicking things off right away with the CM Punk promo. And I've literally I worked last night, so didn't get to watch it live, and have just finished and haven't checked out any of the kind of discourse going on online. So I don't know what the consensus has been on this, but I thought, you know, Punk can promo. He's great at it. He's in Chicago. I did feel it was, you know, something was missing for me as a fan. And I think it's almost him returning in Chicago. It just felt really like, you know, trying to recreate that magic from that Rampage, but there's still this elephant in the room. You've even got that same fucking guy from the last time Punk returned doing his oh my god thing. Like it felt a bit more phony to me. But I did quite like the content of Punk's promo, because I think it's one of those things where he's leaning into being he can be a heel in certain territories, you know, taking a few shots at the Young Bucks with that line, like calling them soft or something like that. Find it funny from the guy who's just returned from like 3 injuries back to back. But yeah, obviously Chicago are gonna love Punk. He had a big babyface reaction here, but yeah, he seems a bit pissed off, and he did allude to, you know, all the shit going on. He's carrying that world title in his bag and is basically saying he's the uncrowned champ until someone beats him. So I would be very interested to see what Punk's reaction is going to be on future episodes of Collision, because I certainly think some lines that he said tonight would have had boos in other cities, 100%. And I got to say, I'm seeing in the chat room right now, Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness was spectacular last night. What do you think? That comes from Jake. And I like both guys, but I did find it a bit jarring when I've been so used to watching, you know, Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, etc. And then you have a big moment like Punk coming back and Kevin Kelly's on the call. It did feel, because I'm not used to hearing them as a team yet on AEW TV, it did feel like it was less than for me. But I also appreciate that you want this to feel different. You want this to feel like a different show, and having a different kind of voice on the show is a good thing. I just felt maybe there were some moments where it didn't feel as big a deal as it would if kind of Excalibur or Tony were calling it. But overall, I do like them as a team. I didn't particularly enjoy JR's involvement at the end. He has tweeted out that he's going to, you know, take a break, and I think that's probably for the best. The poor guy had another bad fall, it seems, the other day. It seems to be happening a lot. Just hope he's okay and looking after himself, but I don't really think we need him in the booth, personally. And then, yeah, we went from that promo to the TNT title match, Luchasaurus taking on Wardlow, and watching it, I did kind of feel, you know, we've had that Punk promo, and now it's these two, and to me, they are not stars, and I think on your first kind of Collision, this did make the show feel like Rampage to me kind of right away. Wardlow's lost so much heat. I think Luchasaurus has as well. Like, he was super popular in the tag team with Jungle Boy, and now. I'm enjoying everything Christian's doing, but I didn't think this was the right choice of match to kind of start the show off, because I did feel like, oh, it's Rampage. That being said, I thought the two had a pretty decent match, and Wardlow showing a bit more than we've seen from him recently. Just two big lads, big slabs of meat slapping meat. Luchasaurus kind of with the upset here. Christian using the camera on Wardlow, costing him. And I love the touch of, I don't think Luchasaurus held that title once after he won. Christian holding it up, him on Luchasaurus's shoulders. I'm sure this is obviously going to go to a Christian Luchasaurus feud down the road. So yeah, but as people in the chat are pointing out, this title has been hot potatoed so much. It means so little to me now. Whereas kind of, this title meant something back in the day when you had it on, Darby, Cody's open challenges, Brody Lee. And I do feel like in the last 18 months, really, since kind of Cody's last run, it's just all over the place and means less and less every time. And yeah, Cameron pointing out in the room, like, Wardlow is buried at this point. I don't know if I'd go that far, but where do you go with him now? Maybe, maybe a tag team is the way to go. Maybe a trios with someone is the way to go. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not particularly enjoying this whole TNT title thing. We then had the returning Andrade El Idolo taking on Buddy Matthews, both returning from injury. Buddy kind of favoring the knee that he's been rehabbing. Andrade favoring the shoulder. Some spots where, the doctors were coming in, checking on both guys. And Andrade winning in 13 minutes with the figure 8, using his wife's move there, which was quite a nice little touch. I'm glad to see Andrade back. Again, though, these are... and I feel the same with Miro, when these guys have been such an afterthought for so long, and now you're trying to tell me that these guys are hot and they're stars, and this is where you see the stars, it's going to take some convincing. And I'm saying this as a huge Andrade fan. If you've been listening to me over the years, Gargano versus Almas and Chill, it's a thing. It's one of my favorite matches of all time. Like, I think this guy's terrific, but he's coming out a little cold for me. The match was really good. I was really entertained, but again, kind of had that sort of Rampage feel to it as well. And then, if that wasn't going to continue, Tony Nese comes out with Mark Sterling. So, look, Miro returned again, just squashed this guy. But I don't want to see Tony Nese. I don't think on your debut episode, I don't think this was a strong enough card, personally. I think Punk obviously is the draw. I'd be really interested to see how the numbers do. But it just, Tony Nese should not be on the debut episode of this show, even if it is just to be fed to Miro. And then we had Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale defeating the Outcasts, Tony Storm and Ruby Soho. A bit of a mishap with the green spray at the end, causing it to go into Ruby's face. And then Sky Blue with the code blue for the win here. I actually really enjoyed this match. I thought Sky Blue her stock has really risen in the last week. They seem to be carrying that momentum from her singles match with Tony Storm, which I really enjoyed. And just Tony and Ruby, I think, are really solid in this division. Tony Storm, I used to be quite critical of, and I think she's really helped carry this division. And Willow as well has been great, really standing out. I think these four in this division are really kind of carrying things right now. Wrestling-wise, I'm still not a big fan of the whole Outcasts gimmick. I find it a bit lazy, the whole loser thing. But yeah, I feel we're maybe building to Willow versus Tony at Forbidden Door. Would make sense. Willow kind of technically being New Japan, holding that New Japan Strong title. But I could also see Sky Blue getting another chance against Tony Storm down the line. We get a video package hyping up the return of Scorpio Sky. I kind of take my comments on Andrade and Miro and apply them to Scorpio Sky here. Yeah, the guy's talented, but they've done nothing in the last year, really, even when he was TNT champion, to make me particularly care about this guy. So Saturday nights being the home of Scorpio Sky, cool. Not really doing it for me. And then we have the main event, CM/FTR in their Bret Hart-inspired gear, taking on Samoa Joe, Jay White, and Juice Robinson in a 6-man tag. This took up the majority of the last kind of hour, went 25 minutes. I thought a fun match. I thought Punk looked good. I thought they kind of limited, obviously, building up to that hot tag. But I thought he looked pretty smooth in there. I didn't really notice any signs of ring rust. I didn't notice any shoulders explode or foots pop or whatever. And the interactions between him and Samoa Joe were really fun. I thought it was great having Nigel on the call for this because he was, obviously in ROH during that time of that trilogy. They were really hyping up how big that trilogy is. They own the rights to this now. I'd be thinking of putting these out for free on YouTube, that kind of thing. So people get to watch this if we are moving forwards with a CM Punk Samoa Joe singles match at some point, which I absolutely think you have to do at this at some point. CM Punk and FTR getting the win. Fun match. I was maybe expecting an angle at the end. It seems like Kenta and Punk is the way we're going. And I thought with, Jay White, Juice Robinson, Bullet Club affiliation there, could have been a way to sort of have Kenta come in at the end. But it seems we're maybe saving that till next week, maybe next week's Collision in Toronto, and just do a whole one-day turnover for this. Overall, I might sound critical on the show. I really enjoyed the wrestling. I thought all the matches on this show were strong, but I don't know if it's enough to kind of make me give up 2 hours every week. We get a lot of good wrestling in the week. I could have done with some angles on this show. We didn't really have any angles. You had a title change and Punk's return. I think we could have set up a few more angles, and a few more stars maybe. I did feel like I was watching a Rampage, and this is where we throw all the misfit toys. But week one, kind of thumbs in the middle from me. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but it was okay. It was okay. It's going to be tough for me, I think, watching this show every week, being on a Saturday night. Although next week won't be, because I'll be there. I'll be there at the arena. But yeah, that was AEW Collision this week. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? You can use our Twitter. Let me know, at Davie Portman and at Poisonrana Pod. But that kind of is it for me rambling on today. And I'm going to pass over to an interview I conducted a little earlier in the week with the Bollywood Boyz. So a few last plugs before I go away. Sign up to the Patreon, patreon.com/poisonrana. We put up our review of Suicide Squad last week. We're continuing our Batman journey. We also put up on this very free feed a review of The Batman, Our Bats, from just last year. Really good chat with Braden there. Talking about that film. I loved rewatching this and really enjoyed having the chat with Braden about it. We also have an episode of Was Next up, talking about the January 8th 2014 edition of NXT, where we're seeing more Miro, more Baron Corbin. As things change, things stay the same. And obviously find us every Tuesday on the Post Wrestling feed for Up Next, where we talk all about NXT. This week coming up on the Patreon, we've got Vengeance 2006 featuring Sabu versus John Cena. We were going to do a Money in the Bank, and then we thought this sounds more fun. So we're doing this one. That'll be on the Patreon. And then we've got the big weekend coming up if you haven't got your tickets yet for Forbidden Pour, if you are in the area to go to Forbidden Door, what are you waiting for? We are almost sold out of these tickets. It's going to be such a great day. Starting at 3 p.m., we've got a pre-show Q&A session, live podcast with John and Wei. Braden and I are going to be seeing, will Fire Frank defend his BDE championship? Will he retain? We're going to be playing some games, giving away some prizes, getting to hang out with you all, having some drinks, having some food, and then we're off to Forbidden Door in what might be one of the best pay-per-views of the year. I really think it could be. And then if you've still got some juice left in you, come and join us for the after party. Back at Real Sports, right across the road from Scotiabank, we're going to be having hot breath karaoke, doing some wrestling themes for us all. It's going to be so much fun. Hopefully some more prizes will be giving away. And again, just a chance to hang out with all you lovely, lovely listeners. If you don't have your ticket yet, go to postwrestling.com/live and pick one up today. We can't wait to see ya. But that's it from me for now. I am now going to pass over to my interview with the Bollywood Boyz. Ahoy! Hello. Davie Portman here for a very special Poisonrana interview. We're on the road to Forbidden Door. Every wrestling company in the world seems to be descending Toronto this weekend. Every wrestling fan, we've got our Forbidden Pour event going on. There's Smash Wrestling at the Rec Room, Defy, Progress, so much going on in the city. And I'm very fortunate enough to be able to talk to two gentlemen who I've kind of followed for quite a while, having done the NXT podcast back in the day and further on AEW, the Bollywood Boyz, who will be wrestling at Defy on Sunday the 25th at 3 p.m. as they take on Progress. Hello, Gerv. Hello, Harv. How are we doing today?
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Thanks for having us, buddy. Appreciate you.
No worries. I'm excited to have you both here. So kind of a lot I kind of want to get to today in a little bit of time. First of all, you're going to be here. I believe you were just in Toronto a couple of weeks ago with Greektown. I've lived in Toronto now for 7 years, and it's really been this last year we've started seeing all the independent wrestling companies sort of recover since the pandemic. We, especially in Ontario, had such a lack over the last few years with the pandemic, and it's awesome to see likes of Greektown, likes of Smash and Demand Lucha putting on stuff again in front of packed venues. How you were working bits and bobs, I believe, during that pandemic, but how has it been for you since kind of coming back, getting those crowds back, hitting the road? I believe you're all over the place, these guys, looking at your cage match, all the places you've been working. How has that been for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome for us. Just like you said, hitting the ground running since the pandemic. I mean, for the last 2 years, and going back to Toronto, and Toronto's always been good to us. Dating back to when our first live independent show back in 2006 or 5, and then doing our WWE tryouts there in the early 2007s and 8s, and everything in between, and being able to wrestle at Scotia at Air Canada Centre in Toronto, a few summers ago. So everything in between, everything's been great for us. And Greektown, what amazing event they put on the last 4 days there in Hamilton, Toronto, I believe London as well. And we finished up in Waterloo. But Toronto has shown us nothing but love, and we love being in Toronto and can't wait to get back there. Harv, I'll let you pick up.
When we got our releases a couple of years ago, it was just like, it was the height of the pandemic. So there was a bit of a fear there, what life would be like with no real wrestling happening, some spot shows. But I would say we were very blessed, because by the time we got onto the independents with Defy Wrestling and, just traveling across Canada, the shows were picking up. And I feel like right now it's kind of back to normal, touch wood. The world is, we were just in Trinidad, so we're traveling the world.
Wow.
And yeah, exactly. We're going to wrestle in so many cool places. We're going to Jamaica soon. In Toronto, like Gerv said, like, it's just been so good to us over the years. Just the AEW show we did at the Coca-Cola Coliseum. I mean, I hold that very special place in my heart, because, that was the first time we kind of did something TV related post our release. And the love and the response the Toronto crowd gave to us. Just it's one of those things, like what we're doing is right, and we're on the right path. And again, it sounds a bit cliched, but we've had such a special connection with Toronto, and so going to this show, coming up with Defy, Progress, and Spash, this big show that's got all these huge companies together. We're excited, man, because we know the crowd's going to be there and they're going to be behind us, and we're excited to give them a good show.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to you guys before. I know you had you were on Jericho's pod a few years ago and stuff. And from what I've always got from you two is you're absolute hustlers. I mean, back in the day, you starting off, I believe you were sneaking into the Air Canada Center to try and get trials and stuff like that. So to go from that to do TV is pretty cool.
I was gonna actually mention that story, but I don't know how much time we have. But that the sneaking into Air Canada Center for us, we just literally, it was like one of those things again, like, you buy a one-way ticket from Vancouver, Toronto, and you're not even booked for the event, but you lie to security about being there, and sure enough, you sneak in, and then they kick you out. But on the way out, we got to meet Jericho, and we stayed in touch with him, and ever since we've kind of always had that connection with Chris, and it's always a beautiful memory for us in Toronto.
10 years since then, we got our NXT contract switched, roster contracts at the Air Canada Center too, which was so like when we say Toronto's been very special to us, it is, and we love the city and the fans, and again, Greektown was so good this last 4 shows, and can't wait for coming up with the Forbidden Door weekend. Is gonna be awesome.
And we're big hockey buffs, right? And the Hockey Hall of Fame is right there, so that makes it better.
Yeah, it is. I think Toronto is a special place for that. I think obviously we've got our like homegrown talents, but also there are people that we recognize. Like you guys are from like just outside Vancouver, and we do recognize that hustle. And I know, for instance, Johnny Gargano, he's from Cleveland, but Toronto is absolutely a home base for that guy. Whenever he comes here, so many special moments in his career has happened at the Scotiabank. And I think the Toronto fans are pretty astute at picking up on that kind of thing and recognizing how much sort of this city means to guys like you. You're going to be facing Matt Cross and Juventud Guerrera. I saw you've tied up with Juventud once before, I believe. But what can we expect from this match? And if I believe it right, you're going to be taking a red eye from Portland. You're working the night before and then coming right over to do this. So again, the hustle. But what can we expect between you 4 guys on Sunday?
Well, Harv, I'll start. Maybe we'll be limping in or, crawling into Rex at the Toronto Rec Room, because the night before, like you just mentioned, Defy Wrestling in Portland, we got a Mumbai street fight. Not just any street fight, but a Mumbai street fight against the Second Gear Crew from GCW for the Defy tag titles. So, that's the first one that's on our mind right now. And Harv, I'll let you carry on. But let's see what kind of shape we're in. But the flight, 5-hour flight from Vancouver to Toronto. We'll see how we're feeling.
Oh, and we locked up with Juventud just recently, about a month back, and again for us it was an honor and a privilege, because again he's a WCW legend. He's been around the world, and I think Gerv and I, we've been blessed. Again, I do think like a lot of guys feel safe with us, and it's one of those things where we have that respect for the guys who came before us. We worked Rock and Roll Express, got to work Christopher Daniels, Juventud. I mean, I think I'm leaving out a couple of other legends that we've got a chance to lock up with us in the last 2 years. But sorry, Gerv.
No, I was going to say the special thing about working with Juventud, he was like, he laid the groundwork of what we eventually did like 7 years ago, which was the Cruiserweight Classic tournament, and then which led to the 205 Live. And he was that Cruiserweight division legend in WCW. So so much respect and love for Juventud for what all he's done. And we actually let him know that a few weeks ago when we did work him. And we've never locked out with Matt Cross, but we're looking forward to locking out with him too, and having a special tag match that night, and can't wait to rock and roll.
So you say the night before you're working a Mumbai street fight. What would the differences between like a Mumbai street fight and your regular street fight be? What can we expect there?
Harv, I'm going to start with maybe a cricket bat in our hand or something.
Maybe some naan and butter chicken and samosas with like thumbtacks, or something like that. We can't let all the secrets out right now.
Yeah.
on our
maybe one of us will jump off a rickshaw. You know.
Something I want to ask is both you guys, obviously it's in your name. You're the Bollywood Boyz. You say you're doing this Mumbai street fight. Where do you see the difference lying? Because there has been some news recently with kind of a bit of a lawsuit in WWE from a writer about maybe kind of racial stereotypes and that kind of thing. Where do you think that line lies between sort of proudly honoring your culture and maybe crossing over to stereotypes? Because it's something that wrestling has forever been filled with stereotypes, and now we're in 2023 where it is really wild wrestling everywhere, and we're embracing those cultures. Where do you see that line lying?
Well, I mean, sometimes you have to play into your heritage. The Bollywood Boyz character was our character that we came up with on the independents, and that's something we brought to WWE, and then we became the Singh brothers. That was a different story. But I remember hearing an Eddie Guerrero interview years ago. I was probably in high school, where he talked about he wanted to embrace his heritage, and sometimes you have to tap into a little bit of the stereotypes, but at the same time, like, I remember him saying he didn't want to wear a sombrero and come out, where it's like, okay, that's the Hollywood version of being Latino, but he wanted to be Latino, heat and cool. And with the Bollywood Boyz, I felt like nobody had ever done the Indian actor gimmick, the dancing and all that. Usually it's, if you're from India or you're foreign, you're the angry heel. And we're mostly baby faces. If you look at our work, even Greektown and this last couple of years, we're baby faces. So in that sense, we do tap into somewhat of our ethnicity, but personally, I think we're kind of on that where it's like, it's fun and it's exciting for the fans, and you see the fans dance. I think we play a pretty good, we have a pretty good line of where to cross and where not to cross.
Sorry about that, guys. I think you're still answering the last question about ethnicity and all. Yeah. So, I mean, I was just going to jump in as well, Harba. I don't know if you mentioned this or not, but, for us, like, I think I picked up from the part where you said we were the Bollywood Boyz prior to WWE. And, for us growing up, there were two things that were big in our household, which was hockey and Bollywood movies. So, we grew up watching both with our parents, our family. So, like, for us, being the Bollywood Boy, that's who we are. And if you watch any of our videos from Defy Wrestling to even Greektown just recently and everything in between, even the AEW stuff that we did in Toronto last year, like, there's all like a lot of non-Indian wrestling fans who are dancing and doing Bhangra, and people are coming up to us now and asking us, what is Bhangra? Can you show us what Bhangra is? So, like, for us, like, doing Bhangra and showcasing our culture, we've never felt that this is like a stereotype for us. We're just being ourselves, and people are embracing it, and that's the beauty of what we do as the Bollywood Boyz. I think it connects with everybody, and more so now than ever before.
Absolutely. It's always a fun vibe. I rewatched some of your AEW work against the Kingdom, and like the crowd were super fucking pumped for you guys. They're all dancing along and stuff. And I've been to some of those tapings. They're long when it comes to Dark and Dynamite and things. So it's an achievement getting that crowd on these long taping days to kind of be dancing with you, making noise, having fun.
I just want to about that. I think it's a testament to how the fans around the world feel about us, and they kind of, we talked about the underdog story, and they see us grinding, they see us hustling, and even though we're not on TV, through the social media, people see us putting in the work. Every weekend we're wrestling, we're busy, and I couldn't be happier with the way our careers are going right now, because we're hitting that second mountain right now.
And the best thing about what we do as a Bollywood Boy doing the Bhangra, it's a homage to our dad. Our dad was the captain of his Punjab Bhangra team back in college in India. Oof. So, like, yeah, it's really cool to kind of, like, do it with a wink. Hey, Dad, this is for you too. So, like, it's really cool. And I think naturally and organically people are seeing we're having fun what we're doing, and it's not forced. So yeah, man, if you watch any of those Defy wrestling videos from Washington Hall, fans are actually having a lot of fun. So are we.
So I did see that picture of you hanging out with Bret Hart at Greektown Wrestling. You're both wearing Hitman shirts, jerseys right now. I assume big fan, big influence of you both. How was that for you, getting to hang out and chat with Bret? And furthermore, have you had a chance to go to his bar yet? Because that's bucket list stuff for me.
Yeah, I mean, the relationship with the Hart family in general dates back when we broke into the business. I started in 2004 with the Hart family in the dungeon. So I was like one of the last, literally like the last 5 guys to actually get my start in the Hart house in the dungeon and take my last few bumps there before they sold the house. So like that connection has always been there through Bruce Hart, Ross Hart, and then being able to build that relationship over the years with Brett, not just through WWE, but even our independent run prior to WWE. And Brett's always taken a liking to us. I think us being brothers reminds him of his time spent with Owen, and it's really cool to have built that relationship with someone like Brett, who went from a mentor to now a friend and someone you can just hang out with and get some advice. And as far as Harv, I'll let you answer the question about the bar there, the Hitman bar, but that I'll let you take over.
Yeah, we've been blessed that again, you sometimes have a role model or a mentor, and he's over the years from our WWE days and independent days, we just bonded over the years, and now it's to a point if we have a question or if we're hey, we see you're in town or whatever, it's just it's a blessing, and it's a relationship we definitely cherish, to be able to spend time with them and talk with them. And yeah, we got a chance to visit the bar. We've been working for Dungeon Wrestling also. Blade, his oldest son, has been running Dungeon. We've done a couple of shows out
and
there.
Dallas.
And Dallas, yeah. And we worked the Billington Bulldogs. And we probably had 2 of our best matches on the independents in Calgary, and went to the bar after, and I was just sitting there again, just seeing the memorabilia and hearing the stories. It's quite a sight, and I would definitely check it out if you're a fan out there.
And the best thing is, like, those matches that we worked, having someone like Brett standing and giving you a standing O after these matches, it's an incredible feeling. And he's not the type of guy to BS about anything, and he'll let you know. And he's when Bret Hart's telling you guys are awesome workers, and what we're doing is right.
That's awesome. I mean, Brett is someone, obviously I live in Canada. I've got to embrace Brett now. But he's that's awesome. And to have like that kind of validation from your mentor must be pretty awesome. So you've kind of worked everywhere now at this point. You had your WWE run with the Cruiserweight Classic and NXT. Main roster with Jinder. You've worked AEW. You've recently been doing GCW dates as well. What's next for the Bollywood Boyz?
Like Harv was alluding to earlier, we just did Trinidad with All Caribbean Wrestling out of Miami, and next is Jamaica. So we're really excited for that. And we're just, again, for us, Defy has been home base. They took care of our visas and all our paperwork to work in the United States. So like everything that Defy does, we're with them. And we've been blessed to have those work visas through Defy. So Harv, off the top of my head, man, we have a packed month, packed summer coming up. I can't even think of, like, it's just like we're everywhere, like you said. So AEW is coming to Canada here in the next few weeks after the Toronto stuff too. So we'll see what happens there. But we're working hard, we're hustling, and we're keeping the grind going.
Yeah, no, I mean, just like Gerv said, like, post WWE, there's always that fear of what life is like, because again, you're in the grind, and then I couldn't be happier with the way our careers are going, because Gerv and I actually had this conversation earlier just before we hopped on. We're building grit. When you're out here on the independents and you're working every weekend, and you're going to different towns, and sometimes you're working guys who are only 2 matches in, and that's a different challenge, or you're working guys who are 20-year vets on the independents. That's a different challenge. Then you're working guys who haven't really done much or whatever. So it's these different challenges that you're facing up. And I think being on the independents, I couldn't ask for a better second tenure in our career, because no matter where we end up here in the next little bit, we're building that grit, that tough skin.
The best. What I was gonna say is, speaking of independent wrestling, I mean, when we first got our release, the best piece of advice we got was from Drew McIntyre. He shot us a text and just said, just hit the ground running. Let everybody see how busy you are. Stay busy, and stay connected, and through social media as well, and let people know what you're doing. So I've kept that advice very close to our heart, because Drew's somebody that got fired, came back, and went to the next level. So we're still keeping our dream alive, and obviously like everyone sees for the last 2 years, we've stayed nothing but busy. So, you know, I believe the fans are seeing that, the wrestling world seeing that. So we're just keeping our head down and just hit the ground running every show, and we love it. We love the grind, love the journey.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly shows. I mean, working Trinidad and Jamaica, they're not places I tend to think of when it comes to wrestling. I was fortunate enough to work at a theatre in London during the 2012 Olympics, and it was the cultural base for Trinidad and Tobago. And those people know how to party. So I can't imagine what wrestling in front of Trinidadians would be like. I can imagine that was quite a party.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, very special to be able to chase your dream and travel the world and get to experience so many different cultures and places. That's what it's all about at the end of the day.
That's awesome. Well, guys, I really appreciate you giving the time to chat with us today. I looking forward to Defy meets Progress on Sunday the 25th. Hope you enjoy coming back to Toronto. I know you know this city pretty inside out by now, but it's been a pleasure watching you guys over the last few years, and it's great to see that, you know, hard work does pay off. So thank you very much, guys, and take care.
Thank you, Davie. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks a lot, man.
No worries.
Cheers. Bye.
Poisonrana.